Welcome to the 2022 BHL Annual Meeting. It will be wonderful to see some of you in person in Edinburgh and many of you online for various discussions. With the new strategic plan in place, the implementation plan is being well implemented. BHL is now on track to contribute even more to the open science landscape. As noted in Martin's blog post, May 9, 2007 marked the official launch of BHL content on the web, with 306 titles, more than 3,000 volumes, and more than 1.2 million pages of taxonomic literature. And look at us now with more than 60 million pages of taxonomic literature. You can read more in Martin's blog post, The Vast Library of Life, 15 Years of the BHL Portal. We have so many wonderful quotes from users in our archives and in the templates from which this talk was made. And I decided to use these as my inspiration for this talk. This particular one encapsulates an early pillar for BHL, making sure that those who study biota in their countries have equal access to the information that exists about their country's biota. We called it repatriation. This is a similar quote. BHL makes the history of science available to everyone. BHL has a strong and forward-thinking strategic plan. The overarching goals are relevant content, tools and services, user engagement, partnerships and alliances, and mission enabling. What I wanted to make the point of with this slide is that infused throughout these goals are ways to enhance the collections as data concept, which results in contributions to open science and open data directly. Diversity goals are throughout all of these larger goals, and the main aim is to increase content and participation by underserved and under-recognized communities, especially Indigenous communities. Again, expanding and enhancing global alliances for biodiversity and beyond is infused throughout all of the goals. And the revision of the BHL governance and how we do partnerships, sustainability, and capacity are all important. How do we achieve sustainability, and how do we ensure that we have enough resources to achieve a robust BHL? The takeaway from this quote is that bridging geographic and cultural frontiers as if they don't exist is something that BHL does. Along with the robust strategic plan, we need an achievable implementation plan. Many things are going on behind the scenes. I've highlighted some of the big changes in the slide, including the major one of hiring a data manager. But there are big goals here and many tasks to do for implementation. For relevant content, we want to do a major revision of the collection policy. And we also want to include gap analysis so that we can add more content that reflects Indigenous knowledge, maybe oral histories, in conjunction with Indigenous populations. We also need to fill in many gaps in content. We're looking at historically Black universities and colleges to see if there's content there that makes sense, and various other groups and consortia. There's a strong need to decolonize metadata. Of course, that's a huge project, and we're looking at ways to accomplish some of that. We need to focus on BHL as an important international data source for climate data, for landscape change data, for occurrence changes of species. We need to ensure that BHL stays at the forefront of digital library development. For tools and services, we want to ensure that we have the ability to integrate BHL data and collections in the biodiversity communities and in library communities. We're working on IIIF, other languages, and OCR improvements. We'll continue to work with the Global Names Architecture, with the Global Biodiversity Information Facility, Platzi, and ZooKeys. Unfortunately, for user engagement, we've had to put most of our tasks on hold. This whole goal has to be reformulated due to our main outreach and communications leader leaving BHL. Grace Costantino is much missed. but we've had to reimagine the position, and we looked at this position as a data manager for this particular time frame. So when we reformulate this goal, we'll start talking about that at the annual meeting. Maybe we should focus here on training for internal and external users and providing education about BHL. We still should look at best practices and improving outreach to diverse audiences. For goal 4, partnerships and alliances, we need to identify partner gaps. We want to visualize what a partner network should look like. We need to review the existing role of BHL in national, regional, and international science infrastructures and make sure that we are where we need to be. We should make new connections and nurture existing ones, and continue to participate in existing organizations such as TADWIG, CTOF, GBIF, and Spinach, who is hosting us at this in this joint conference. We also need to forge new links with new organizations. For goal 5, mission enabling, this is about sustainability and capacity. We'll be reviewing alternative models for governance. We'll probably be implementing a SOAR process, looking at our strengths, opportunities, aspirations, and results. We need to identify and cultivate more champions. We also have to set realistic financial goals that are attached to actions. We need to continue the discussion about what is meaningful value for organizations that are participating in BHL, and to ensure that BHL aligns with individual institutional goals. One of the big things we've done over the past year is work on an acknowledgement for harmful content statement, and we are very grateful to Lydia Ponce de la Vega for doing some analysis of BHL and pointing out areas where we might do better. Basically, we need to listen to voices about diversity and make it a part of our everyday work. So looking forward in the next 10 years, BHL collections are data. I mean, maybe we can think about a page for every specimen, Echo E.O. Wilson. BHL information has to be extractable on a fine level, and it has to be easy to link to relevant data in other systems, part of an international community. We need to contribute to the extended specimen network. We can locate specimens in BHL, although not easily yet. We need to tie them to their museum deposit and their geographic collection site, collectors, and species descriptions. Data needs to flow seamlessly to GBIF and other biodiversity organizations. It needs to go wherever it's needed. Images must be discoverable from anywhere, and they should be able to be easily reused. The indexing of scientific names is more precise, and we should be able to trace name changes. Geographic and author data should be indexed and discoverable at a granular level. So this may take more than 10 years, but look how far we've come in all of the work we've been doing in BHL. We do need to make more connections with global biodiversity organizations, with other organizations such as Enrich, which is a hub, a coordinating hub for equity for Indigenous research and innovation. We need to look for ideas from some of these organizations to improve BHL. We should enhance our connections with government and non-governmental organizations. We need to consult more with museums, universities, national libraries, hubs, and other consortia. BHL has been very successful working scientist by scientist and person by person. The advocates from within the scientific community have really allowed BHL to expand. The takeaway from this quote is that thanks to BHL, information inequality can be narrowed. This is an exciting time for BHL. Many changes are happening. Most are driven by the strategic plan, but world events have intervened and channeled BHL in different directions. BHL has what it takes to move forward, and this was made very clear during the pandemic. It's exciting to know that there are fresh eyes coming in. The executive committee is changing. We're hoping to add some new partners. There's new energy. We're looking at new networks to find ways to advance our collections and our visibility. We need to rekindle the passion if it's gone from any of our partners and make sure that they understand how important BHL is. We need innovative thinking, and we need to respond to unexpected events and successes, which we have done. So I can't leave my last annual talk as chair without telling you all a little bit more about my story. Why am I here? Well, when I was a young teen, early in high school, very long time ago, I first became aware of the climate crisis that was coming. In those long days ago, few people were listening because it all seemed so remote. I listened to my high school biology and other teachers who were guiding me at the school I went to. Thanks to these teachers, I became fascinated by flora and fauna. I learned how to find interesting animals and plants and to identify them. I filled up field notebooks with descriptions of where I was, weather information, what I was looking for, as well as what I found. This is where my passion for field notebooks was born. We collected animals and plants for the Museum of Comparative Zoology, where I much later became the head of the Ernst Mayr Library. My path took many twists and turns. I got a master's degree in zoology. I worked for the Nature Conservancy. I worked on a PhD. I bounced around, though, more than I wanted to, and watched 2 advisors die, so I never really finished. After these traumas, I hadn't lost my passion for finding ways to learn about and preserve biodiversity, but I changed direction and became a science librarian. Still with the same passion, how do I improve the climate problems and how do I work on the biodiversity crisis? How do you do that as a librarian? Well, fast forward a number of years, at an entomology meeting in London in 2005, also the year that Ernst Mayr died, I found a tribe of librarians, ones who had the passion I had to use our skills and the library archives we worked in to help scientists and others find the data they needed to work on the biodiversity crisis. E.O. Wilson, who was in the midst of conceiving of a web page for every species, was a prominent faculty member supported by the Ernst Mayr Library. And little did I know that prior to that London meeting, some library and science folks, including Tom Garnett, BHL's first program director, and Brewster Kale from the Internet Archive, had started to scheme about ways to push Wilson's plans for a web page for every species. BHL was born in these arenas over the course of a couple of years with many minds. Again, see Martin Kalfatowicz's recent blog post, The Vast Library of Life. So I now had a compelling purpose. I had a strong reason and foundation to search the deep, dark corners of the Museum of Comparative Zoology departments for hidden collections that could liberate data, that could improve the global access to data that was needed, that could potentially help the climate and biodiversity crises. It was clear that the collections were filled with data waiting to be more broadly discovered and used. As BHL formed, I was asked to be a member of the executive committee. Being a member of the executive committee has allowed me to have a direct voice in the direction of BHL from both my personal perspective and that of my organization. All of the partners provide resources, many resources, to keep BHL fresh and moving forward. But as a member of the executive committee, we're closer to what is happening day to day and see the vision and perspectives of many partners. Being on the executive committee increased my passion for BHL and for open data and open science. Being on the executive committee helped me to see how to make these things happen and how to advocate within my institution and with other institutions. For anyone involved in BHL, I highly recommend a stint on the executive committee. The commitment is pretty brief, and you can make it as much or as little work as you want. Meeting and interacting on a deeper level with many of the BHL partners really is an opportunity to gain different perspectives, and our shared goals bring the best kind of collaboration, one that is more than a simple sum of the parts. A great example of this is the amazing work done by the Persistent Identifier Working Group with reps from Australia, the US, the UK, and many smart minds. Another good quote, this is important. Scientists need BHL. Google Scholar and Web of Science are not enough. So I want to thank BHL partners for stepping up to the global challenges of climate change and the biodiversity crisis, for ensuring that biodiversity information is available to all, for making a difference in the world together. Flexibility and willingness to change and grow is a highlight of BHL and its partners. Providing unparalleled and exciting career opportunities is a perk that maybe no one really expected. I also have to thank you heartfeltly for allowing me to be a leader of this extraordinary enterprise. And I hope I'll see you all in Paris in 2023.